Well, I think, Pam, I think we can go ahead and start
Yep.
since like
Yep.
102. So welcome everybody to July's We Talk Art. And a big welcome to Jen Evenhus, who's somebody that I have known and admired her work for years. And
Thank you.
she is a master pastelist as well as oil painter. And I'm not sure what other mediums you use, but the one thing that I know about Jen is that she's not afraid to try different things. And what I love, if you go to her website, it says Jen Evenhus, and her little tagline is the beauty of imperfection.
Yeah.
And so that's I want you to talk about that, Jen. But
I will.
Yeah. First of all, I should remind people to mute yourselves unless you're going to ask a question. And Jen's going to welcome questions either on chat or else live, especially when she's showing some of her work on a PowerPoint presentation. So, but do please just mute yourself unless you've got a question to ask, so we don't get a lot of background noise. So, Jen, tell us about, what lit the fire for you for art as a youngster. Tell us your story.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Bonnie, and everybody for having me share my passion with you all. And so as a youngster, I have always been doing art ever since I can remember. So I did art all through, like, of course, grade school, like most other kids do. But then in high school, I got into it a little bit more serious. And I laugh when I share the fact that I graduated high school in honor society, and my husband in the background goes, "Yeah, art classes." But anyway, so I've been doing art in one way or another all my life, and but seriously began in my early 20s. I was a young mom, and I began seriously painting with oil paint, and had a child that I had to take care of, right? So I was married, and the oil paint tended to dry on the palette way too fast, right? So that made it hard to get anything done. And one day I was over at the local art store, and I walked by this open, and know that this is back in the 70s, right? Just a while ago. Walked along the aisle in this art store and come along, found this open box of a full set of Grumbacher pastels. And I looked at those and I thought, oh my gosh, those are gorgeous. So I bought the whole set, took it home, and started playing with it. And my life was never the same. I was in love with them, with the colors, the saturation, and the brightness. But the thing that was most important for me is that I didn't have to spend an hour mixing paint every time I wanted to paint, right? So I still paint with oils. I switch back and forth, but pastels really are my first love. They're immediate, and I played with those and started off with that set of pastels. So it's ever since then, it's just been enjoying the fact that nowadays, of course, everything is better and more, and you have almost unlimited brands of pastels and paper to use. I'll talk a little bit about my materials in a little bit here, and but then after like painting for, gosh, for quite a while, I came across a way, kind of a way, and I know the exact painting that I did that kind of switched up from just painting impressionistically to to creating through the beauty of imperfection. And that's my trademark. If you guys know my work, I'm sure some of you do. It's not very detailed, it's loose, and you can see a lot of the underpainting showing through. Yeah, so when you're painting with the thought of imperfection, what you want to do is you want to paint often and you want to paint fast. So I'm known for, when I do workshops, I'm known for my 10-minute paintings. I started doing that many years ago. I was doing a lot of workshops back in 2017, 18, along there. And my students would always, I'd tell them, okay, separate your paper out into 4 sections. This first section, you're going to paint it in 10 minutes. The next section, 8, 6, and 4 minutes. And they're all going, oh, there's no way I can do a painting in 4 minutes. There's just, and they were scared to death to do that. But after a while, we set the timer, and they had such fun. And so it was, in any of the workshops I do, I put some of those exercises in it. So if you want to become more loose, that's a perfect way to do it, is just set your phone for 10 minutes and press the go button and paint. It will amaze you at how well that works and what kind of results you get. So I like to, when I create fast like that, that's when the happy accidents happen. And the thing with happy accidents is that most artists cover them up. Okay. There's a saying that every artist creates at least one masterpiece in his lifetime, but they usually just cover it up because they don't know when to stop. Right. So that's a little something to do with that timer. It forces you to stop and to recognize the happy little accidents that would never have happened if you hadn't been painting fast. Mm-hmm. Right? Right. So what I usually do is to kind of create chaos first. I will block in with Vine charcoal, and then just be real messy, get some color down, and then work at refining and defining the different shapes and using negative painting. So negative painting is huge with me. It's one of those things that I started doing when this beauty of imperfection kind of came into my studio, basically. And so along with that, I want to talk a little bit about your studio space and how important a studio space is. If you do not have a studio space right now, you're using your dining room or your living room, work hard to get your own private studio space where you can walk in, close the door, and get to work. And this, especially with pastels, it's really important to have that area that you can close off because of the dust, right? Dining rooms are not good for painting in pastel because you don't want that stuff in your food, right? So even a spare bedroom would be perfect, you know, just use what you can to have that space where you can leave all of your stuff out, where you don't have to spend the time to get everything out again before you paint. Because if you have to do that, you're going to find some excuse not to paint. Okay.
So Jen, you know, I think another little tip too, if you're painting in your house with pastels, if you have a room that you can be in to cover the air vent, so that
that's a good idea.
so that you don't get that dust going through the house,
through the
circulation.
Yeah, excellent idea. Yeah. Speaking of that, I don't use it a whole lot. I have, how can I guess I don't need to show you. It's a filter, and it's about this tall, just sitting on my desk right here, which is right across from where I work. It's just an air filter, and it works really, really well. This is why I don't use it a whole lot, is because I use sanded paper, and some sort of sanded paper. And when I use that kind of paper, literally have very little pastel falling off. Okay. It's not like I'm using a Canson or another sheet that doesn't have that sanded paper. So that's an option, you know, depending on the paper you use. Also, I'll use it when I am working on a larger piece and it takes me longer to complete that piece, and I might have I might have a lot of scrubbing that I'm doing. If I'm doing a lot of scrubbing or brushing, I'll turn that filter on, just so that dust doesn't get where it's not supposed to, i.e. your lungs, right? So, okay. Another tip is to, and obviously all of you guys are members of a pastel society already, join 1 or 2 or 3 pastel societies for community and support and learning, like just like today. that's one of the benefits of some of these great pastel societies, is that they offer those types of things for their members. So a good thing to do when you're ready to get your career on the road and start marketing is to enter shows. And you'll want to do that to build your name, to market your work. My advice is don't bother entering your county fairs. They won't do you any good. You want to enter big juried shows. You want to go up against the best pastelists out there. That forces you to paint a lot, to paint your best. And if for some reason you get rejected, which we all do, go back to your studio, paint some more, and then enter again, right? Don't take that rejection seriously, personally. It's not, it might sting for an hour. Don't let it sting for very long. Get back in the studio, paint more, paint often. That's how you get better. So you'll ask yourself, I'm sure a lot of you are probably already entering these larger shows, but some of you might just be beginners and you're wondering, well, is my work good enough? I just don't know. I'm not sure. You'll know when you're ready, okay? You'll have that confidence. You'll say, you know, this is my best piece so far. I'm going to enter it in a show. And that's good. Enter in a show. It kind of gauges where you are compared to other artists. But of course, remember that every juror is different. They look for different things. They expect different things. And if you don't get in one, you'll get in the next one, right? So that's another tip. Enter shows when you're ready.
And Jen, don't you think, you can sometimes have one piece that you enter in a show, it gets in and you win an award. You might enter it into another show and it gets rejected.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah.
so, and I also think that it's good to have people in your pocket, if you will, that'll critique honestly for you, that just won't say, oh, this is a pretty painting, and give you honest feedback.
That's a great idea, is to have somebody that knows what they're talking about, give you a honest critique. And speaking of critiques, that's one thing that as an artist, you need to learn how to critique yourself, right?
Absolutely.
You can tell yourself, oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, I think I'll get into this show. But be real honest with yourself. Learn through experience, and looking at other artists who get in these shows and who win awards. Study their work, right? And get used to critiquing your own work.
So Jen, when you go to critique your own work, what how do you walk us through your steps of how you critique your pieces?
Yeah, that's a good question. The best thing that I do is to, number one, step away from your work. Okay, step away. And another thing is to get away from your work. Okay, like go and have lunch, do some dishes, go weed for like an hour or 2 or 3, because when you come back, you will see that painting with new eyes. Okay, overnight is even better. There have been countless times when I think I'm done and I leave the studio for the night, go upstairs, come back the next day, and something hits me. It's like, oh, why didn't I see that? Like some mark, or maybe this cup is not shaped correctly, or I forgot a shadow, or, something like that. It's getting away from your work. But besides that, of course, is knowing all of your elements of design. Okay. I use this in my workshops a lot. Talks about composition, elements of design, principles of design. It's the basics of creating art. If you don't know these things, is that backwards to you guys?
No, but it's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just basically when I give workshops, I always make a booklet for my students that they can take with them. And these principles of design and elements of design, they're all printed out and they can take those home, but learn those. So elements of design and composition, value, color, shape, form, space, line, texture, and edges. Learn all that, right? If you don't know that, get yourself a good book and learn that. Good book on composition. Edges are one of the most important things to learn how to have a variety of edges. And I talk about that in my workshops a lot because it guides your eye, right? So if you have a really sharp edge and high contrast, your eye is going to go right there, right? If you have, like on this area here, if you have some of those soft edges, it creates a good transition for your eye to go, hi, hun, what do you need? Oh, thank you, but not right now. My husband was nice. He brought me lunch.
Good husband.
I know. But anyway, so edges are huge. Value, of course, is okay, so for me, composition is number one with painting. No matter what medium you use, if your composition is not a good dynamic composition, no matter how you paint it, it's not going to work. It's not going to turn out. So pay attention to the composition. That's one of the things I use for my critique is, okay, What is this composition telling me? Where does my eye go? I often, almost all the time, use the value of the rule of thirds, right? You know what that is, right? You divide your canvas or paper into thirds, and each one of those intersections is where you want your eye to go. That's where you want to put your what do you want to call it?
Your focal point, or your
Your focal point.
Your interest.
In one of those intersections, that's where you want your focal point. Okay. So that's about critique, your composition, your values. Does the painting work? So then let's talk just a little bit about workshops and learning from other artists. We are really lucky in this day and age to have the resources that we do with the web, World Wide Web, YouTube. You can pretty much find any kind of lesson that you want on YouTube. A lot of the pastel artists are doing virtual lessons, like weekly, right? You can sign up for those. And I do not do those right now. I've thought about doing those like once a week, but I thought, I had a day job and I retired. I just am too busy with watching a kid sometimes and helping out with the farm. I don't want to be tied down to a certain day of the week. But I do have videos available on my website and on YouTube that you can watch. Some of them are free, and there's a few of them that are paid. So if you're interested, just find my name and find those videos. The workshops now with face-to-face really is the best way to do it. I've enjoyed taking a few workshops from people. I don't do a whole lot of face-to-face workshops anymore. I'll do demos online. That way I don't have to travel and you don't have to travel. It's really a great way to learn. But if you can get into a workshop with a master pastelist, anytime you can, do it, because it's just irreplaceable having that one-on-one time to pick their brain, right? Okay, now the last thing that I want to talk about is materials. Use the best materials that you can afford. Okay? Go without your coffee if you have to. It's very important to use good materials to get the results that you want. Okay? And I'm going to share the materials that I use. This doesn't mean you guys have to use those. You can try them out and see if they work for you. I get great results from these, and I I see these new pastels coming out and I want to try everything, right? And I will try some different pastels, but the way I paint, my preference is to have a rectangular pastel versus a round one. So Terry Ludwig is my absolute favorite. I've been using their pastels for years and years. And the reason is that it's got that nice sharp edge to it. The way I paint, I like to, most of the time, I'm using the edge of my pastel. And the edge or the side of the pastel, right? I rarely use the end. And Terry Ludwig, thankfully, doesn't put paper on his. So that's great. You don't have to take the paper off, spend time doing that. But if you do use sticks that have paper on them, please take the paper off. That way, you've got the whole stick to use the side, and you are more likely to be very loose with your strokes. If you only use the end of your pastel, you're getting up there and you're getting really tight and too specific. So take that paper off. So Terry Ludwig, a couple of ones that are still my favorites, even though they are round, is Unison and Schminky. Another square one, it's like a medium hardness is Holbein. And then a hard one is New Pastel. And I won't use New Pastel much. I'll use it as a blender over the top of the soft pastel sometime. I might use it for a very sharp edge on something like a highlight or something like that. And then I use it for my signature. Okay. I'll talk just briefly about signatures as long as I'm here. Your signature is very important. If you're still just printing your signature, it's time to experiment with something that people can tell it's yours, but not quite. You know what I mean? And it has to kind of blend into the piece of artwork. I went many years with a couple of different signatures, but the one I'm using now, I've been using for probably, I want to say 15 years or something. I don't know if I can, this one might be able to tell this one. Let me see. See?
Yeah.
And it's not my whole last name, Evenhus. It's just a big E. So is that right reading to you guys?
Correct.
Okay. But so it's an E with a little V and then a squiggle mark. And that's what I've been using now for a long time. But since I've been using it for so long, people know who it is, right? Okay, so 1236. Okay, pastel paper. I have been using Sennelier Le Carte paper, which is what these two pieces are on. for years and years, for as long as I can remember. And I love it. I love the feel that you get with it, kind of softness, but I can still get sharp edges. But the only thing about this is that you can't get water on it. But they have come out with a multimedia paper. I have not tried it yet. I am interested in doing that, see how that works. But you really don't have to get water in it because you don't have to underpaint it, right? It already comes in wonderful colors. The other paper that came out, of course, many years ago now, and I discovered is the UArt paper. And it's totally my favorite paper because you can use alcohol on it. I use mineral spirits just because I have it in my oil corner of my studio. And so it's always available. Mineral spirits. You can, if you want to see how I underpaint the UArt paper that comes in cream, it comes in UArt dark as well, but of course you don't underpaint that. But I always underpaint the UArt paper to get rid of that cream color. I don't like that little bits and pieces of that cream color showing through in my work. And so I underpaint it and simply put, I use a medium hard pastel, like the, what's it called? The Holbein pastel. It's a medium. They're perfect for, you just drag and color that pastel paper. Don't press too tight, too hard. And then use a brush, dip it in your mineral spirits, and then wipe it off so you don't flood the paper, right? And then just brush it with an old house brush. And you end up, even if it turns out ugly, it's a great underpainting. I know most pastel artists will draw on their paper and underpaint the image, like put red where the green trees are going to go. I don't do that. I just underpaint the whole thing just like an abstract and then paint on top of that.
So you're really toning the paper.
Yes, you're toning. Yep, you're toning the paper.
Yeah, Jen.
And
let me just somebody just asked a question about what grit do you like with the UArt?
yes, 400.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've tried the other grits. 350 is just too gritty. 500 is too smooth for me, for the way I work, right? But one of those might be perfect for you. I've got 2 or 3 big sheets of 800 sitting somewhere in my studio, but I'm not going to waste my time because I pretty much know it's not what I need
Right.
to use. Maybe somebody that does portraits or something would like that grit. But yeah, the 400 grit is perfect, and I've been using that for years and years. So that's, oh, the underpainting. You can do a search on, I think just anywhere and it'll come up, but I think it might be on YouTube. Just search my name along with underpainting and it'll come up with a short little video that shows you how I do it. Okay. So if you want a video, that's out there somewhere. Just do my first and last name with underpainting. It'll pop up. Okay. So then along with you know, so you've got your good paper, you've got your good pastels. Then early on, I didn't do this when I was first starting out, but as you progress and you want to do something different or something a little more exciting or give it a different look, you're looking for, okay, how can I do that? So this is what I do. You can use a palette knife to scrape your paper, but I use sticks. Just go outside and find yourself some sticks with some nubs on them. This stick with nubs on it is like almost kind of smooth now. It's worn down. I found this stick back in Maine when I gave a workshop, 2019, I think it was. I just went outside, found a stick on the ground, and it's got fun little nubs. And you just use those sticks and just kind of scrape on your paper, not scrape, just press into your paper marks and just have fun with it. Here's one that's a little bit rougher, and it'll give you different marks. And then
Are you in sense of sort of like embossing? It's like almost like embossing because you're pressing into the paper to leave a mark.
yes, a little bit. Yeah, you can, and you can use it for grasses, or you can just use it for marks. And then when you go back over it with a pastel, then it leaves that mark, right?
Yep. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Let's see. This one I'll show you. And my favorite is this comb. It's any plastic comb will do, right? You can just experiment with different sizes and widths of combs. This is actually a cleaner of paintbrushes and rollers. See that round thing?
Mm-hmm.
That cleans a roller. And then the tooth part will clean your paintbrush. But I use that to press into the painting, into the image. And I'll see if I can't get this to where, oh, it's a little dark. Can you see right up here? Or is it too dark? Where it shows the texture of that comb. It might be too dark.
Yeah, I think yeah, maybe it's a little close. It's a little blurry.
Is it blurry? Okay.
A little bit.
Oh, what am I getting there? Oh, right there. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Cup?
Yeah. Yep.
In the cup?
Yep.
Wonder why that light is like that. But that's from a comb. And it just gives it texture and interest for your eye, right? So, and you know, it just leaves it up to your imagination of what to use to get some texture in your painting. Okay, so that's basically materials. I'm going to go through this just really quick, my technique. Okay, so we talked about the beauty of imperfection. So I block in with vine charcoal, use large shapes. I work almost always dark to light. Okay, put in your darks first, go to your midtones, and your lights are very last. Okay, that way you know how light to go. Oftentimes you don't need to go as light as you think you do. Okay. Values are more important than color. Okay. Get your values right and your painting will work. Learn how to do negative painting. If you haven't done that yet, if you haven't learned that yet, get a hold of some of my videos on YouTube or something. There's some free ones on there, especially like maybe a palm tree is a good example of negative painting. We'll go through some of the palm trees here. That will change your life when you learn how to do negative painting. And then work on your touch. Work on putting the pastel on lightly or bold and press it hard enough to break the stick, right? You gotta learn how to be confident and not worry about breaking a stick if you have to get that stroke on and then leave it. Okay, so work on your touch. The touch is so important. And you can tell when you're looking at pastel paintings if that artist has the touch. Okay, you'll know, you can tell. Okay. We talked a little bit about books. I'll try to be quick. Are we set at an hour? Can we go over?
We can go over a little bit. It's kind
Okay.
of up, you know, people,
Okay.
if we're all in the middle of something, because
So you asked about books. These are 4 books that I always have in my studio and I use all the time. The Art Spirit by Robert Henry. That's my art Bible. As you can tell, all the notes in it.
marks.
Creative Authenticity by Ian Roberts. This is excellent. And I've tabbed that. Conscious Creativity. That's a fun one. That's by Philippa Stanton. And then Art and Fear by David Bales and Ted Orland. Of course, none of you have fear about painting, right? You're all confident, no problems getting started, right?
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Okay. Let's look at some artwork here.
Hey, Jen, before you get into that, what's
Yeah.
your thoughts about how important do you feel it is to paint rather than just saying plein air, but paint from life, paint from nature, paint from life, as opposed to just using photo references, as an example.
Well, I do both. And for many, many years, I only used photo reference. I was a photographer back when, and so have very good photo equipment and whatnot. And, but also taught myself how to paint from photo references or from sketches, right? I mean, we all do it. But once I started painting on plein air, it taught me how to, it taught me the fact that my eyes see better outdoors when I'm painting. And so you can learn from that, right? And put that to use with your photo reference or with your sketches, right? I mean, each has their own place. I live in a place in the United States that has snow and cold weather, so I don't do plein air in the winter. So do both, you know, do it all and learn from each one, and you'll be better for it. So good question.
One other quick question about just popping over to talking about framing. How do you frame your pastels?
Well, my most favorite way now to frame my pastels is, and this is, I can do this because I live up in the Northwest. We don't have humidity like North or South Carolina does. I don't know if artists down there do this very much, but I slap that piece of glass right up against the pastel and frame it like that, right?
Yep.
No matte, just a nice wide mat when you're doing a wide frame when you're doing it that way, right? Of course, depends on how large your painting is. The larger the painting, the smaller the frame that you need, right? If you have a tiny, tiny painting, 8x8 or 6x6, you need a nice big wide frame if that's how you're doing it. When I'm framing for a show, my own solo show here in town, the last one I did all mattes. There's nothing that, in my opinion, nothing that replaces the look of a pastel with a matte and a nice contemporary frame around it. That's my favorite way to frame. But if I'm framing for a show that I'm sending to, I'll do the right up against the pastel, a good hefty frame, and it ships wonderfully. You don't have to worry about the pastel dust on the mat, right? And from what I see nowadays, a lot of artists are doing that. Richard McKinley does that. So there you go. Okay. Should we look at some art?
Yeah, let's look at some of your paintings. That would be great.
Okay, we're going to share. Okay. Okay, let's just look at some landscapes real quick. These are a couple of older pieces. This one and the next one are 9x12s. These are real fun pieces. And then this one is a newer one. Just did this last fall, I think. And it's larger, it's 12x18. And I want to say that's on La Carte. If you guys have any comments or questions when you're looking at these pieces, feel free to ask away, or you can put it in the in the chats, and Bonnie will take a look and see if there are any questions, but I'll go through here pretty quick. I love these. These are this one and then this one are on UArt, and they're pretty abstract. You can see the marks. You can see the let me get my little. We were talking about the comb. See this right here?
Mhm.
That is from the comb. That right there, this right here is from the comb. Okay. Trying to figure out how to undo that. Backwards. There you go. This one, 12 by 16, and then this one is a smaller one. It was like I think 8 by 10, smaller one. Here's a small one that I just love. It's very abstract. I love marshes and grasses.
Yeah, that's got a real glow to it. So,
Yeah, this red area over here.
yeah, beautiful. Jen, somebody asked, do you have to lay down heavy pastels for the comb to show?
Not necessarily. Sometimes I even use that comb before I get started. The thing about that comb is it doesn't show up quite as well on the Lacarte as it does on the UArt for some reason. So just keep that in mind.
And probably a paper like Pastel Matte that's got a really soft surface, it would leave a really, really remarkable.
Yeah, I'll bet you it would.
Yeah.
You could definitely try that.
Somebody asks, do you underpaint and with alcohol on UArt paper? Is it possible? I think you answered that, but
yes, yes. Actually, most pastel artists that I know that do underpaintings use alcohol. It dries quickly, maybe a little faster than the mineral spirits, but mineral spirits takes only about half an hour to dry, and then you're ready to paint on it. Alcohol, I think, is a little bit quicker than that. So yeah, definitely. Here's
so somebody asked if that fluorescent, is that a fluorescent red in that that one?
no, I I do not. Are you talking about the well, are they called fluorescents?
I don't, the question just was, is that a fluorescent red pastel?
Yeah. No, I do not use those fluorescents. I tried them many, many years ago, but for me, they kind of take away from the work. And if you put those fluorescents in with your other pastels, they get all over your pastels.
Yeah.
So I don't use them anymore. But no, that's not a fluorescent. That's just that's just blending. That's just blending part of that red back into the darker area.
But the really brilliant red, man, it just, I mean, it's got to be just pure pigment.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, it glows.
It just pops, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you get that by putting it next to something that isn't bright, right? And so when you're painting, and years ago, I used to use all the bright, bold colors I could get my hands on. But over the years, I learned that your bright, bold colors will be even more bold when you use your neutrals next to them. So make sure that you have a good selection of neutrals. I might have gone shopping a couple of weeks ago over at Dakota Art. Here's an example of wonderful neutrals. This is the Maggie Price neutrals of Terry Ludwig's. So
Good shopping.
yeah, well, yeah, don't tell my husband, right?
Yeah,
I
you know,
actually
on this painting too, Jen, you know, another good example is like the really that turquoisey blue right next to some really dark darks. You know, so you've got a nice light value right
yeah,
next to a really dark, and so that makes that pop so much too.
yeah, and it draws your eye to that area. Yep. Okay. This little one, this is an older one, just a real simple, was a little demo that I did, I think back with Stan Spurlack. And it's just small. It might be 6x8 or something. And this one right here, one of my favorites, it's a small one as well. And that might even be a 6x6, a tiny one. I won a nice award with that back in one of the Connecticut shows. Here's another small one that is one of my favorites. I'm wondering if, oh, I can move it. There you go. Just another demo I did down in Texas at a workshop. And here's another favorite. It's another small one, very abstract. You almost have to walk away from it to know what it is. And the title is Sinking Flies at Dusk. So we have property up on Blewett Pass on the creek. And so we get to go up there, and used to do a lot of fishing up there, but don't anymore. But this is from that, using random color, right? Let's see some other. Here's again from up Blewett Pass. This was done from a photo reference. Oh, let's see. Here's a fun one. It's a favorite of a lot of people. We get to go to Arizona almost every spring to go to spring training baseball. My husband is an ex-baseball player. He used to play for the Yankees back in the day, back in the 70s. And so the guys like to go down there and go to the ball games. And the girls sit around by the pool mostly, but I paint when I go down there. So this is from that. Again, you look at this piece and you're looking at the composition, right? You got to think about composition, number one. Here's a piece that I did on plein air down in Albuquerque. I rented a Airbnb, and it had this great little courtyard in the back of the place. And I sat out there. I should have gotten the setup. I have a picture of the setup, but this again is one of my favorites. If you look at the different areas down here, I'll see if I can't get the annotation down here with the shadows. See that? And then the fun loose strokes down here. This bush or tree attracts hummingbirds. And so it's called Hummingbird Haven. Here's one that pretty much is one of my all-time favorite. I went with friends down to Oregon in the Redmond area. Just happens to be where my son and his family live. But almost 2 years ago now, we went in September and painted on plein air, and it shows my view that I painted. So you're probably questioning, but those water plants are not red or orange, right? That's the fun about being an artist, is you can change the colors if you want, okay? So if you learn only one thing today, know that you don't have to paint it the color it is. Green is not my favorite color. Orange and turquoise together are my favorite combinations, right? And so I had a little bit of green here, but so I started with the red. Well, actually, I started with the darks, right? So you see some darks here, and then went with the reds and the oranges, added some of the green. But if you look closely now at the deep turquoise and the lighter turquoise, that was painted last. That is negative painting, okay? That's a great example of negative painting right there. Okay, let's scroll.
That's a great lesson in shapes and values.
Yes.
You know, well, I mean, composition as well, of course, but that's really, really nice. You know, Jen, your especially your abstracted landscapes, they remind me, and this is definitely a compliment. Remind me of James Lavador's work. Do you know who he is?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's a Native American artist. I think he's either a Walla Walla or a Umatilla tribe, and he's a renowned Native artist, and he's exhibited in, you know, Venice and really some pretty prestigious places.
Wow.
But his use of red, your use of red and his use of reds are so so great, and it just is, you know, they're luminous. So you know,
cool. I would like to look at his work. Can
yeah,
you
look him up.
name in the chat?
Yep, it's James Lavador.
Lavendar?
Lavador. I'll put it in.
Yeah, put it in the chat. That'd be great. Okay, now, before we get done, I want to explain something that I've started doing just in the last probably 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. And that is to paint imaginary landscapes. I don't use any photo reference. I'm not outside painting. I'm just in my studio. And the way I begin is to just start, and I'll show you an example of this is a good example right here. This is a larger painting. I think this might be 12 by 18. So I start with a dark color and I close my eyes and I just put on some strokes. I just go like this, put on some strokes. And I open my eyes and see what I have. And then I might pick a different color, maybe a mid-tone. And I close my eyes again and I put on more strokes. And then I go from there and see what I have. And that's what I did with this one. And this one like sold right away. It's just, it's kind of ethereal. It has mystery. And it was just a fun one to do.
Great color harmony.
Yeah, it was great. Next one here, I did the same thing. I closed my eyes. I think this is probably a 9 by 12. Closed my eyes, put down some strokes, and then looked to see what I had. And then I worked off of the different strokes and the different shapes. And then added some birds flying. You see the birds? It's fun.
Yep.
Here's another one. Just random strokes, random marks. Didn't use any reference material at all. Here's a good one. I think that's 9 by 12. But anyway, it's very freeing to just have fun with pastel. Okay. Don't worry about ruining your piece of paper. It's well worth it. And on the UArt, if you ruin a piece of UArt, just wipe it off with an old kitchen towel, right? And paint over it. The Lacarte, it's a little harder to do with that, to redo that. But just have fun with it. Here's one more. This one is one of the first imaginary ones I did, and it sold right away. It's called Picnic on the River.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Okay, we're coming up on 1:15. Let me show you some of these still lifes, these tea time ones that I've been doing, and then we'll call it good. You guys have any questions? Have you been putting them in the chat? Any comments?
Somebody commented they just love your use of the turquoise and blues, and, the reds and oranges, and
yeah,
they're great.
That's my favorite combination, is orange and turquoise. They say, well, I say that if you're having problem with a painting, just pop some turquoise in it, right?
Good idea.
This one right here is this one right here. It's a little bit brighter on the screen, of course, because you have light coming through it. And then Sweet Tea Time, that's another favorite. And this one is what is showing behind me, Small Talk. So I think I was sharing this with Bonnie, but this new series that I'm doing, just having fun with it. I went to a antique shop and bought a bunch of old-fashioned cups and saucers and a teapot, and just took them out in the other room, set up still lifes, right, and did a photo shoot. So I have probably 20 pictures that I can paint from or begin from. And this is one of those. The reference photo did not have this napkin underneath it. I added that because I wanted something different. I added that napkin. I created those corners. I didn't want to just put a square napkin on there. I wanted it to have character. So I added the cutouts, the odd shapes of the napkin with the shadows. And the shadows are what gives it form, right? The shadows tell you what that shape is, right?
So Jen, there's a couple of questions. First of all, Pam Walker says hi.
Oh, hi, Pam.
And then Sally Ladd says, when you set up, when you set these up, are you looking straight down on it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Looking straight down. And I'll use my lights that I use here in the studio today. And I'll take, I think I just use maybe one with the regular ceiling lights, and use those with it and just shoot from above it, you know.
Nice. And then somebody asks, how important is the name of your painting?
There's a whole thing about naming paintings, right? I mean, there are artists out there that do their titles by dates, you know, so they can keep track of when they did it or whatever. I pretty much always named my paintings. Obviously, I don't name them most of the time. Do not name them before I paint them, because as I'm painting, things change, my ideas change. But I can share a secret with you guys on how to name a painting. And I still do this to this day. I have a certain novel. It's a novel that I read and really kind of enjoyed it. Enjoyed how the author spoke, how he wrote. And what I do when I'm done with a painting, I go sit down, relax, pick up that novel, and I just start flipping through the pages and just scan the page for a word or a sequence of words that might mean something to me according to the painting. I've also looked in the dictionary for words that might spark an idea. And sometimes it takes me hours, literally, to name a painting. These right here have come pretty quick, just because of the subject matter. And I mean, small talk, it's, what else would it be, right?
Yep. Great. Somebody asked, do you use any final fixatives on your works?
That's a good question. For years and years, well, early on, I used to use the Canson paper. You guys never use the bumpy side of that Canson paper, okay? use the smooth side of that paper. I would use some fixative, but in the old days, it always made it a little bit darker, and you really never knew what you got. But since the invention of sanded paper, you don't really need to use a lot of spray. And for years and years, I didn't use any kind of fixative because I didn't want it to darken the image or to change the image. But probably 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months ago, I came across a product that literally does not change or darken your painting. And I've since started using that on all my paintings before I frame them, right? And it's it's let's go. Let's go. It's expensive, but it's worth it. And I think I just get it on Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's where I get it. Either there or at Dakota.
It's hard to see your screen, Jen. Are we done with the presentation? Because then I'll
Yeah, should I stop sharing?
yeah, then we can see your face better.
Oh, that's a good idea. Of course, I want you guys to see my face.
Of course we want to.
There we go. Okay. Okay.
Let's go.
Why is that?
Oh yeah.
Why is that blurry?
I don't know.
There we go.
It's pretty clear.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's spendy, but it's so worth it. Yeah.
Then somebody asked if, let's see, do you enter the very small painting? What is it? Okay. Do you enter the very small painting going into a gallery, not online? Don't, I think she's trying to say, don't they want larger paintings? So
in regular galleries or in shows?
I'm thinking what she's asking is, do you put small paintings into a gallery, but not online? And I think is asking, don't galleries want small or want larger paintings?
Yeah, I I show at our local gallery here in town, and I'll show anything from a small to a 3 foot by 4 foot oil, right? A small pastel. But I don't have an actual gallery in Seattle or anything like that. I would imagine they would want larger pieces because they'll sell for more, right? But I've been to umpteen hundreds of galleries, and you see pieces that are all different sizes. So any other questions?
It says, if you have a pair of paintings, would you enter both in a show? And so you're freezing a little bit, Jen, for some reason.
I am. It doesn't look like I'm freezing.
I think you've frozen.
Oh, I am now.
Now you're back.
Oh, good.
It says, do you enter? Oh, let's see. if you have a pair of paintings, would you enter both in a show?
In
So
a
I guess
competition?
sort of like if you, I mean, did a pair of paintings, would you enter them in a show? I think some shows won't let you do that.
Are they talking about a competition?
Well, they say in a show, entering it in a show, so that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, most shows only take one work, right? One piece. But when you're entering shows, it's good to have paintings that are similar, right? You don't want to enter a landscape and a still life and a portrait.
Right.
Right? You want to enter similar that shows your body of work. Okay. The show that I entered that is coming up with you guys, no, I can't remember now. I think I entered 2 paintings there, but I entered the American Impressionist show, and it's a web show. And I wanted a particular painting to be accepted. And so I only entered 1. I didn't enter 5. And so if they're going to take one, they're going to take that one, right?
Yep.
And I've done that several times before. It's like, I just want this one to get accepted. And if it's not, it's not. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So
somebody's asking what your filter system is.
Oh. It's just a room filter that I got at Lowe's. It's not really a system. It's just a filter. It's a stand-up filter that sits on my desk, and you can take the filters out and clean them or replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just got it at Lowe's, and it was very reasonable.
Oh, somebody said that Dick Blick carries that Lacoste.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they should carry that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of thanks. People said, this was fantastic. Thanks for all the information. Outstanding hour, plus incredible useful information. So, yeah, thanks so much.
Well, good. Will you have the comments too available, or I'm just kind of glancing through them right now?
Pam, do those stay on the recording?
That's a good question. I don't actually know if they do.
I think they are saved separately from the recording. I think it's when I record, it's a separate file that I have to open up.
Oh,
So you would have that, and you might make that available
I
for
could make
anybody.
I could make it available to you, Jen, if you're interested. I don't
Okay,
think.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for
Jen, somebody just said that on Blick it's almost $10 cheaper than Amazon.
really.
Yeah, so
Well, that's good to know.
that's really good to know, right?
I will check there next time.
Yeah. Well, Jen, this was absolutely delightful. You gave everybody so much good information and things to think about. And of course, your work is lovely. And I hope you get into the IAS show.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. So keep on keeping on and enjoying what you do.
Yep.
And thanks so much for your time.
You bet. And thank you, everybody, for stopping by and spending some time. And hopefully, you know, you got a little bit out of here that you can put in your toolbox and go paint. Paint often.
Thanks
Yep,
so much.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And thanks
Amazing.
everybody for joining in. So in 2 months, in September, our next guest is going to be Eve Miller. So that'll be a fun interview. And until then, we'll have a great time painting and enjoy the summer.
Very good.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.